Good evening. This is Jack. I mentioned in my last story, Chasing the Dragon, that I ended up in the end losing all my money, everything, wife, houses, everything. And a few years after that, I ended up in prison. I was charged and convicted of kidnapping and extortion and sentenced to 5 years. Well, last night while watching a movie on the independent film channel called The Escapist, I was really moved by the way they did it. They jumped all over the board, kind of like what I'm doing. And their scenes from the end, the beginning, I just liked the way they did it. It was a very, very entertaining movie. So I'm going to jump a little bit ahead to prison. And as I said, convicted of kidnapping and extortion, 5 years in prison in Florida. Well, you know, everyone goes, prison, oh Jesus, what's going to happen there? The first thing most people say is, I'm going to be raped. If you're pretty, oh Jesus, they're going to rape me. Well, prison's a little different than that. A lot of men line up and engage in homosexual activity on a daily basis. They're called punks. And usually what rapings take place are usually to someone runs their mouth, someone causes trouble. Rape is a violent act of anger. It's not somebody having some great big love affair. There's so many punks for a candy bar that will literally do any sex act that they want. There's no need to rape unless that person has caused trouble. So the name of this story is 25 with a bitch running wild. And what that means is if you have multiple felony offenses, like more than 2 or 3, they call you an habitual offender, and you could end up with 25 years. And the bitch, that stands for habitual. Running wild stands for not having a date. So 25 with a bitch running wild is when your paperwork comes out at the end of every month, you don't have a date because you have to do 25 years, of course 85% of that, before you even come up for parole. Well, there was this guy, he had 25 with a bitch running wild, and he was a man of about 5'4", sweet, nice guy, Puerto Rican from the Bronx. And the way we became friends is I ran the library and he taught school to the Spanish guys. And, you know, he was teaching them English. And, you know, he would kick it back and forth. And I said, well, you know, why don't you teach me a little Spanish? And he said, the only Spanish you need to know is, yo hablo español, pero no muy bien. And he said, if you can say that, he goes, then you can get away with saying sí and no. Oh, no. And it sounds good. And, of course, he would joke. And he was just a really nice guy. And we talked all the time. I got him the books he wanted because I run the library. He was very close. He taught right next door. Well, one day he comes to me and he goes, hey, listen, do you know that big white cracker boy? And his name is Yaya. I go, yeah. He goes, hey, that piece of shit is fucking with me all the time. I go, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, he's disrespecting me. He's saying shit to me. He just talks shit. And he called me a spick. I go, what? I said, well, what about your boys? And, you know, he was all hooked up, and there was 72% of the 800-plus men in this prison were black, and then I would say 10, 12 were Latino and mixed with white guys. And I said, well, you know, isn't there anything you guys can do? He goes, you know, he said, if I ask the boys to help me, then I'm going to owe them a favor. They're going to want me to, you know, do something, bring in some dope, you know, a number of things. I just don't want to be holding to anyone. I want to take care of this myself. And I said, well, why are you telling me this? And he said, I'm telling you this because, you know, if this cocksucker ends up killing me, he goes, I just want you to know. And I said, well, listen, bro. I said, you know, you got to deal with this. You got to take care of this, but you have plenty of guys around you. You've got some bad motherfuckers with you. I said, well, just take care of this piece of shit and straighten him out. Tune him up, tighten him up. And he goes, no, I got to take care of it myself. Well, about a week goes by, and I can see him down in the corner, and he's got 4 or 5 of Latin guys around him, and that's called spooking in prison. It's like lookouts. And he's down there, but I can see they're up to something, but I'm not quite sure what it is. So, of course, in prison, you don't want to stick your nose in anyone else's business. But what they were doing is they were taking that mixture of kind of like a nair. The black guys put it on their face. It's a hair remover. And it smells real bad, but it prevents them from shaving. And the black guys have it on their face, and then they can just shower and wash the hair right off. Well, he also put a concoction of that along with some baby lotion. And then I'm just kind of looking. I'm sitting on my rack reading, and it was an open dorm. There's 72 guys. We're all stuck right in there together. I noticed that there was a couple of extra mattresses they'd brought in. And they went over, and one of the guys was looking, and one of them cut 2 or 3 big long strips of plastic off the mattress. And I go, oh shit, what the fuck? Well, he took it back into the corner, and I was looking, and I kind of like turned away. But he'd mentioned that this big cracker, white honky bitch that liked to pick on little guys, like sort of a punk, like is strange in prison. A lot of guys really aren't professional criminals. They're drunk drivers, drug addicts. The drunks hit a bus full of nuns and kill a couple of them. And, they're regular guys. They go to work every day. They don't feel they belong in prison. They do real hard fucking time. Me, I only had 5 years. I thought it was a joke every fucking day. Just a big inconvenience. Well, anyway, I'm looking over, and he tells me, he says, this cracker boy goes to the bathroom every night, just like clockwork after the 9 o'clock count. And I said, yeah, okay. And I'm wondering why he's telling me this, because I really, really didn't want to know any information, because I don't want to be held like, oh, I could have said something. If something goes wrong, it could come back on me. So it's best to know nothing. But what he was doing, he was making a combination of that stuff the black guys put on their face to take the hair off, baby lotion, and then plastic. And what he did is he mixed a concoction in half of a soda can. So he had about 6 or 8 ounces. Well, sure as shit, after the 8 o'clock count, I looked over and I could see him working on the lighter. And what he did is he got that to a boil, and he wrapped it in his sock. And the minute the cracker boy went in to take his, his crap after the 9 o'clock count, he just walked right into the bathroom and drove it into his face. But what he did is he melted his hair and his face and his eye, all with this concoction that he made, and the screams were unbelievable. But that's what you get. But you can't say that a guy 5'3", 5'4", you can just go messing with him and humiliate him and like a bully. And that was a way of dealing with that cracker boy bully in the prison. And I just wanted to let you know, I wanted to jump ahead a little bit just to get this story out, because it come to me last night watching The Escapist. You guys get a chance, check that out. I mean, unbelievable acting. Unbelievable. Entertaining from start to finish. Okay, this is Jack. I'll give you another story in a couple of days. I'll see you then. Thank you very much.